Li- Live from the softball complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching exclusive coverage of the 2018 home opener of women's conference softball right here on CSI Sportsnet. This afternoon, the College of Staten Island will take on Lehman College in their home opening doubleheader as they look to continue on their two-game winning streak that they began yesterday afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Babuski along with Joe Foreman. And Joe, back for another year of CSI softball. The College of Staten Island coming into the game here this afternoon with a record of 3-7 overall, but having won a big doubleheader yesterday afternoon against St. Joe's Long Island.
And after a tough trip in Arizona to open up the season where the team came back to Staten Island 1-7, the Dolphins really did a good job of beginning to turn things around yesterday. They got excellent pitching, did not surrender an earned run in either of the two games against St. Joseph's College of Long Island, winning the first game by a score of 1-0 and the second game by a score of 7-2. In the first game for the Dolphins, Nicolette Trapani took the mound. As I mentioned before, did not allow an earned run, surrendered 8 hits over the game, 7 innings pitched, striking out 8, hitting 1 batter. So a strong performance from Trapani, who picks up her first win of the season. She threw 105 pitches in that game, and she will start the first game in the circle today for the Dolphins as well against conference foe Lehman College. In game number 2, Allison Marr stepped into the circle for the Dolphins, and she got it done both in the circle and at the plate. Marr had a big 2-run homer in that game, a shot that hit off the top of the scoreboard, and the Dolphins' bats really woke up in that second game. They didn't swing the bats well in Arizona, and in game 1 yesterday against the Golden Eagles, only picked up 4 hits. But in the second game yesterday, the Dolphins picked up 8 hits en route to a 7-2 victory.
And you know, Joe, the College of Staten Island coming into the CUNYAC season here this afternoon as the 5-time consecutive winners of the CUNYAC Conference. And, you know, in their last 4 years, they've gone 115-52 overall, winning nearly 69% of their games. And, you know, really looking to continue that here in this new year. A very different team, Joe, from the team in 2017. No more Jackie Cortella, no more Christy Colangelo, along with a couple of other notable players. And, you know, so far this year, Joe, one of the Dolphins have started off a little bit slow in the hitting department.
They have started off slow at the plate, Mike, and you mentioned the loss of Jackie Cortella and Christy Colangelo, 2 of the Dolphins' leading hitters from last season, actually 4th and 5th, respectively, in batting during the 2017 season. The top 3 hitters for the Dolphins last year, Patricia Riches, Antoinette Galbo, and Vanessa Joy, the same top 3 from this year. However, last year, Patricia Riches hit over 500 for the season. She's hitting at 393 so far this season, a great number, but still not as awesome a number as we saw last year. Galbo hitting at 346, not far off from her 398 average last season. But Vanessa Joy is so far hitting only at 231 after hitting over 350 last year. So the slow start at the plate may be a concern for the Dolphins. They've gotten it done in the circle, however. Nicolette Trapani and Allison Marr pitching very well yesterday. I assume we'll see both of them pitch today as well. And Bobby, as a player for the men's baseball team, how concerning would it be to you to get off to a slow start at the plate like the Dolphins have? They haven't swung the bats as well as they're accustomed to. Is that something you've experienced as a baseball player, that anyone on your team has experienced?
Yeah, Joe, it's important for a team like this today to come off from the first pitch all the way to the last and set the tone right off the bat.
You know, over the years, the Dolphins have really been very successful in CUNYAC play, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fare today against a Lehman College team that, you know, we've told has been improving a little bit, though not necessarily reflected in their record here earlier this year.
Well, Lehman's faced some tough competition. Not many games played within the CUNYAC for the Lightning either so far this season. I'm taking a look at the conference standings. Actually, they have not played a conference game so far this season. Only Baruch and Hunter have gotten their conference schedules underway, so the Lightning will have an opportunity against this Dolphins team that they have never beaten here at the CSI softball complex. They'll be looking for their first victory over the Dolphins on the road this afternoon, and it's not going to be an easy task. We mentioned the Dolphins' bats have come in not as hot as we'd expect so far this season, but they did pick it up in the second game against the Golden Eagles yesterday. And, of course, the Dolphins, a team that has always given Lehman College problems. We'll see if they can continue to give the Lightning those same problems here this afternoon. The Dolphins, again, come in not swinging the bats particularly well, but they've really gotten it done in the circle, and that's something we can expect to see them continue today.
And Bobby, it's been the kind of March that we typically have here on the East Coast. A lot of canceled games, a lot of fits and starts. It was 12 games, 12 days between the Dolphins' last game in Arizona and when they got started here after their opening pregame had been canceled here at Staten Island. And you've kind of gone through the same thing as well. What's that like when you're just not able to get out on the field and face live pitching?
Yeah, Mike, it's important to keep the same mindset. It's always tough not being able to play outside, especially come early April, late March. You always want to get out there and play as many games as you can, but you got to keep the same mindset. You got to keep working inside, and you got to keep doing what you got to do until time comes, and you'll be ready.
And, speaking about being ready, the men's baseball team coming off of a nice win in their single game yesterday. But again, more games scheduled today that got postponed. And the weather really not looking good for early next week as well.
And the men's baseball team eager to get back out on the field here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Unfortunately, it looks like that may not be the case until at the very earliest next weekend. We do have a game scheduled, or a pair of games, I should say, scheduled for Monday, a conference doubleheader against the John Jay College Bloodhounds. But there is snow in the forecast on Monday. Not much. Maybe if that snow comes later in the day, around evening, maybe dinner time, they can get in that doubleheader earlier in the day. But I'm not sure exactly what the forecast says in regards to what time we should expect snow on Monday. So once we look into that, we'll have more information for you. But as of right now, a game or a pair of games are scheduled at the CSI Baseball Complex for this Monday. The men's baseball team taking on John Jay College.
Yeah, and the women looking to get off to a fast start in CUNYAC conference play. And it's been a conference, Bobby, that the softball team has dominated, and baseball team as well, coming off of a couple of consecutive CUNYAC championships as well. So this is a new team for the Dolphins without a couple of their senior players that have been so successful over the years. So how does the team come back and get themselves ready for the start of conference play?
Yeah, Mike, it's always, no matter who you play, it's always important. But conference play, you got to come out ready, guns blazing. It's always important to take those first couple games of the conference, set the tone for the rest of the conference.
And, Joe, for the CSI Dolphins, it's been Jackie Cortella, the number one pitcher, and Nicolette Trapani and Allison Marr now looking to have to step forward and take up the slack for Cortella's graduation.
And they certainly did so yesterday, as I mentioned. Neither surrendered an earned run yesterday. And if you take a look at the numbers from last year, Nicolette Trapani actually led the Dolphins in ERA last season with an ERA of .96, a record of 11-4. She started 14 games for this Dolphins team last year, pitched 80 innings, allowing 52 hits and 20 runs. Only 11 of those runs were earned. So 11 earned runs over 80 innings, a phenomenal season for Trapani last year. And then, of course, she's carried that success into the beginning of this season as well for the Dolphins. She did pick up the victory yesterday. Her numbers this year so far, an ERA just over 3, but again, a lot of stout competition this Dolphins team faced in Arizona is largely responsible for that, and I think we can expect to see that ERA come down. Her record 1-4. She picked up her first victory of the season yesterday. She's pitched 4 complete games already for the Dolphins this season, and in 31 innings has allowed 38 hits, 16 runs, 14 of those earned. So after the Arizona trip, she's already allowed more earned runs than she did all of last season. But the Dolphins looking to Trapani to get them off to a strong start within the conference today. And given her past success for this team and against this Lightning team, I think we can safely say that the Dolphins should expect to get off to a strong start in the conference today, as Lehman does come in struggling and Trapani has pitched very well for them this season.
Yeah, and one of the things that made last year's 35-win Dolphin team so special was their ability to play the field. And nothing more important in softball than fielding and pitching. And, Bobby, this is a team that fielded a team record nearly 97% of their chances successfully last year and have struggled a little bit more in the field, having committed 12 errors already here early in 2017-18. How they turn that around?
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out, Mike, this season, but that's the first thing to take care of, defense.
So we're just a couple of moments away from the start of this afternoon's game between the Dolphins and the Lightning. Why don't we step aside? We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and bring you the starting lineups and get you ready for the first pitch as you're watching the 2018 CUNYAC Conference home opener right here on your voice of everything CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com. Just moments away from the start of this afternoon's doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and Lehman College for both teams, the opening of their 2018 conference schedule. So as Lehman continues to take infield out on the field, why don't we get you the starting lineups for today's game? And here to bring you those starters, Joe Foreman. Joe?
Thank you, Mike. First for the visiting Lehman College Lightning, leading off and playing shortstop, number 28, Miranda Diaz. Batting second will be the pitcher, number 23, Diamond Villegas. Batting third, the catcher, number 10, Caitlin Vernon. In the cleanup spot, the first baseman, number 27, Tiffany Adams. Batting fifth, the second baseman, number 24, Genesis Paulino. Batting sixth and playing third base is number 12, Yadi Nieves. Batting seventh, designated player, number 17, Haley Davila. Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 3, center fielder, number 11, Stephanie Cruz. The flex player in left field for the Lightning is number 22, Samantha Torres. And for the College of Staten Island, leading off, the third baseman, number 3, Antoinette Galbo. Batting second, the left fielder, number 2, Ariana Di Benedetto. Batting third, the shortstop, number 13, Patricia Riches. In the cleanup spot for the Dolphins, the first baseman, number 14, Jamie Holmes. Batting fifth and catching, number 26, baseman, number 6, Gabrielle De Leon. Batting seventh, designated player, number 99, Allison Marr. Batting eighth and in the circle for the Dolphins is number 23, Nicolette Trapani. And batting ninth and playing right field is number 9, Juliana Cretella. The flex player and center fielder for the Dolphins is number 17, Christina Severizo.
So the College of Staten Island, having won their doubleheader, a couple of good games yesterday, and able to up their record to 3-7, will be facing a Lehman College team here today that's said to be drastically improved, and we're just moments away from the start of today's game. So why don't we take our final break? We'll step aside, and then we'll be back to bring you the opening pitch as you're watching women's softball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com. We're back, and we're just moments away from the start of this afternoon's doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and the Lehman Lightning. Both teams coming in their first conference game of the year, and the Dolphins looking to build on their start as they come into today's game with a record of 3-7 and look to improve on that here this afternoon. And for the Dolphins on the mound, Nicolette Trapani starting in game one this afternoon. And, you know, Bobby, we mentioned a little bit earlier, she's stepping in and, you know, looking to replace number one starter Jackie Cortella. Big shoes to fill for Nicolette, but the Dolphins need her to be successful.
Certainly big shoes to fill, Mike. Cortella did everything here last year for them, and but she'll be ready to step in.
And the Dolphins will take the field here momentarily. And, you know, we mentioned a little bit earlier, Joe, coming in with a team batting average of just 205 on the year, not what we're used to from this CSI Dolphin team.
And that's definitely a disappointing start for the Dolphins, but despite their struggles at the plate, they have gotten it done in the circle. I mentioned how tough the competition was that they faced in Arizona. I believe they played 2 or 3 nationally ranked teams and gave a very good showing of themselves in one of those games. I believe they actually may have had a lead in that game, or at the very least were tied late in that game. But either way, the Dolphins have come back home, won their first 2 games yesterday against the Golden Eagles of St. Joseph's College, Long Island, and here today against the Lehman College Lightning, an opponent they're very familiar with. Put an unbeaten streak here at home against the Lightning on the line. The Dolphins with a record of 31-0 against the Lehman College Lightning here at the CSI Softball Complex.
And the Dolphins coming off of that big win against St. Joe's Long Island as they won consecutive games in the doubleheader by scores of 1-0 and 7-2. And, you know, Bobby, it was a game that the Dolphins didn't give up an earned run in either game, so the pitchers have to feel good about themselves coming into the game here this afternoon.
Yes, of course.
So we have a little bit of touch-up going on out on the field here, so a little bit of a delay here to the start of the game here this afternoon. But the good news, finally a pretty decent day of weather, Joe, for softball here this afternoon.
This is about as good as weather as we'll get here at the CSI Softball Complex prior to the start of the Conference Championship Tournament. A lot of the time in late April, early May, it starts to get warmer here at the Softball Complex, but early in the season, typically mid-March through about mid-April, it can be very cold here. Even during these noon start double headers in the afternoon, it especially gets cold as the bleachers behind us form a bit of a wind tunnel. It keeps us cold throughout the entirety of these broadcasts. But today the weather is excellent. The sun is out. Temperatures expected to reach, I believe, about the mid-50s, perhaps even the early 60s at some point here today, but the weather is excellent. However, as we mentioned during the pregame, this could be our last broadcast for quite some time if the forecast is correct. Snow in the forecast on Monday, rain on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we all know that the havoc that rain can wreak on the field conditions and potentially force some of those games scheduled for next weekend back a bit, but hopefully we get those games rescheduled or postponed rather than canceled entirely and get to bring them to you here at CSI Sportsnet later in the season. Ideally, of course, we'd like to be back with you on Monday, but it remains to be seen if the weather will allow that.
And while the Dolphins gather on the mound one final time and break out, let's take a look at the Dolphins defensively. It'll be Jamie Holmes at first, Gabrielle De Leon at second, Patricia Riches at short, Antoinette Galbo at third, Juliana Cortella will be in right field, Christina Severiso will be in center field, and Adriana Di Benedetto will be around in left. The catcher today will be Vanessa Joya, and on the mound for the Dolphins will be Nicolette Trapani. Nicolette coming in with a record of 1-4 on the year, a 3.09 ERA. In 31 2/3 innings, she's allowed 38 hits, 14 earned runs, and opponents are batting .299 against her. And into leadoff will be Miranda Diaz, and the first pitch is taken at the knees for a strike, 0-1.
Just a quick lineup change for the Lightning very quickly, Mike. The flex player, number 22, Samantha Torres, moves into the 7th spot, replacing Haley Davila, who is originally the designated player. She will now be in the flex spot.
So a little bit of a change in that Lightning lineup as Trapani quickly gets ahead in the count. 0-2. Miranda batting .310 on the year, no homers, and 5 RBIs. Trapani looking in, and the pitch is taken up high for a ball, 1-2. Trapani walking 6, striking out 14 here early in the 2018 season. The pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 3. So good start for Nicolette as she gets Diaz swinging for the first out.
That's exactly what you'd like to see if you're the Dolphins. I took a quick look at the top 4 or 5 batters in this Lehman College order, and they have some very capable hitters at the top of the order. Several players on this roster batting at least 280. I count 6. Another one of them comes to the plate right here.
So Diamond Villegas, the pitcher, will be the batter, and she takes the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Villegas coming in hitting 281. And that pitch is a swing and a miss, 0-2. Also has 2 home runs on the year with 6 RBIs. So she's shown some power here for the Lightning.
Looked overmatched on those first 2 pitches, swinging straight through them.
Trapani winds the 0-2, swung on and drilled it to deep right center. Away back, and that's going to be off the base of the wall and roll back towards the infield. Villegas will stand on second with a double, so she was able to drive that one deep to right center, Bobby.
Yeah, that was a good adjustment after the first 2 pitches, Mike. We'll see if they can keep her stranded there at second.
So much for being overmatched on that last swing. that ball was a bit down compared to the first 2 pitches, which are about letter high, and she really rode that one out to deep right center, hit it well.
So that's going to bring up the catcher now, Caitlin Vernon, and the first pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1. So Trapani doing a good job getting ahead here in this top of the first. Trapani winds the pitch, is bunted on and missed. So Trapani gets ahead in the count now, 0-2. Vernon leading the team in batting at .319. She's 15 of 47 as she fouls that one back, and the count holds at 0-2. A double, 3 triples, a homer, and 10 RBIs for Vernon. A little bit of a change in this Lightning lineup for last year as that pitch is taken just inside for a ball, 1-2.
How you doing, guys? Good, how are you?
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Trapani winds, and the pitch is taken on the outside corner. Strike 3 is that time. Joya lost track of the number of outs and rolled that one back to the mound. But 2 outs.
Had to double check my scorecard there and make sure I hadn't made a mistake, but it was Joya who made the mistake. Fortunately, it doesn't cost the Dolphins.
Yeah, good job by Trapani there. Battle back after that double.
So that'll bring up Tiffany Adams, and that pitch will be taken, swing and a miss, I should say, for a strike, 0-1. Adams coming in batting .222. The freshman 8 for 36 with 3 RBIs. So no balls, 1 strike. Runner on second base, 2 outs. 1 out double by Villegas. Deep off the right center field wall. As Trapani looks in for the sign once again, and that pitch is a swing and a miss, 0-2. And Trapani doing a very good job, Bobby, so far. She's gotten ahead of every batter here in the top of the first.
Yeah, she really has, Mike. She's gotten ahead of every batter so far, and that's always key. You never want to leave people on base.
The wind and the pitch, taken just down low for a ball, 1-2. Genesis Polino, second baseman, on deck for the Lightning here in the top of the first of 2 from the CSI softball complex. The pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. So Trapani strikes out the side around a 1-out double. No runs, a hit, 1 left, half inning in the books. Lightning nothing, Dolphins coming to bat. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
No runs, 1 hit.
We're back, getting ready now for the bottom half of the first inning. Nicolette Trapani was able to strike out the side after allowing a one-out double in the top of the first to Diamond Villegas. So it'll be Galbo, DiBenedetto, and Riches here for the Dolphins. And, Joe, a little bit of a change in the Dolphin lineup. Riches leading off for the Dolphins in the games yesterday, dropping back to the third spot here this afternoon.
And we saw Riches find some success in that leadoff spot for the Dolphins yesterday. I have the numbers here in front of me. In the first game, she was 2 for 3 in that leadoff spot. However, she did not score any runs out of that leadoff position. And then in game number 2, the big Dolphins victory, Riches 1 for 3 with a run scored. She also drew a walk from that leadoff spot. So the Dolphins changing up their lineup, as you mentioned. Now Galbo and DiBenedetto batting ahead of Riches. She may have some more RBI opportunities in the third spot in the order, but the Dolphins will have to get runners on base in order to put her in such a position.
So it'll be Antoinette Galbo stepping in to lead off for the Dolphins. And she will face Diamond Villegas. We'll get you Diamond's numbers here in just a minute. Galbo coming into today's game batting .346. And the first pitch is taken inside for a ball, 1-0. And just 2 Dolphins batting over .300, Joe, for the Dolphins here early this year. And actually, when you go from .346 in Galbo, you go down to .231 for the next Dolphins. So they've really struggled at the plate.
They have. They need to get some runners on base for Patricia Riches. They've struggled so much to do so that Riches had to be moved to the leadoff spot, as you mentioned before.
So Galbo gets ahead in the count here, 2-0. Villegas coming in with a record of 1-5. This is her 8th appearance, her 7th start. She has 5 complete games. We are a .692. The 0-2 pitch, 2-0 pitch, I should say, is in there for a strike, 2-1. In 29 in the third inning, she's allowed 44 hits, 50 runs, just 29 earned, walked 19 and struck out 15. The pitch is swung on a nub foul. That'll even the count up at 2-2.
And as you said, Mike, only 29 earned, so it's important to put the ball in play here.
If you're Villegas on the mound, or I should say in the circle, that's the first time I've made that mistake this season. If you're Villegas in the circle as well, you want to avoid issuing free passes to the Dolphins.
The pitch is taken up high, so the count goes full to 3-2. Ariana DiBenedetto on deck for the Dolphins. As Galbo looking to lead off here in the top half of the first inning. The 3-2 pitch is swung on and hit foul down the right field line, out of play, and the count will hold at 3-2. So Galbo getting a lot of looks here at Villegas in the first at-bat. Here comes the 3-2 once again. Off-speed pitch is swung on and popped into center field. And Cruz is right there, and she'll make the catch for the first out. 1 up, 1 down for the Dolphins here in the top of the first.
And Galbo made good contact a couple of times during that at-bat, first on the foul ball, and then there she got just underneath that one and scotted out to center field.
Now batting the left fielder, number 2.
So Ariana DiBenedetto will be the batter. DiBenedetto just 1 for 10 here early in her Dolphin career, and that first pitch is on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Villegas looking in, the 0-1 pitch, check swing, taken for a strike, 0-2. Dolphins had just 4 hits in that opening game win yesterday afternoon against St. Joe's, Long Island, as DiBenedetto hits that foul down the right field line. The count holds at 0-2, but 2 of them came in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and the game-winning single by De Leon propelled the Dolphins to a win in game number 1, a game in which they were out-hit 8-4. Villegas looking in, the 0-2 once again is a swing and a miss, strike 3. So good start, Joe, here for the Lightning out on the circle.
They are off to a good start in the circle, and you mentioned the Dolphins only picking up the 4 hits in game number 1 yesterday, but in game number 2, the bats really woke up. The Dolphins hope it won't take a full first game of 2 here today to get the bats going, but again, they really started to swing the bat very well and hit the ball hard in the second game against the Golden Eagles yesterday, and hopefully for them that carries over into today.
So it'll be Patricia Riches, the batter. Riches 11 for 28 on the year. But just 5 doubles, just 3 runs scored, and still looking for her first RBI. It's hard to believe. The wind by Villegas. The 0-1 is swung on and grounded to short. It's going to be played there by Diaz, but the throw will pull her off the base. So Riches will be the first base runner of the afternoon, as we'll look down towards the official scorer, and we'll have an error on the play. So Diaz will pick up the error. And, you know, Bobby, we mentioned before that Lightning have...
Yeah, it's very important to make Lehman make some plays. I think Diaz thought she had more time than she noticed because Riches can get down the line.
So Jamie Holmes will be the batter. Jamie struggling a little bit here early in the season, 208. No homers, 2 RBIs. As that pitch is drilled into center field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. Cruz goes over and cuts it off, but bobbles the ball, and Riches will come all the way around to score, and the Dolphins take a 1-0 lead. And, you know, Joey, that was a play where the Lightning didn't field the ball cleanly, and Riches made them pay, and they take a 1-0 lead.
And that's a pair of mistakes in the field for the Lightning here in this bottom half of the first inning. First on the ground ball to short, the throw by Diaz, an errant one that brought her first baseman, Tiffany Adams, off of the first base bag, and then that ball hit out to center field, was mishandled by Stephanie Cruz for just a moment, but that allowed Patricia Riches to score all the way from first base, of course, with 2 outs. She was hustling immediately off of the contact made by Holmes, and credit, well, actually, I don't think Holmes will be credited with an RBI. As I'm taking a look at the scoreboard, I don't see an error up there on the bobble, so as of right now, Holmes is credited with the RBI.
So the Dolphins take a 1-0 lead, and Vanessa Joya will be the batter. Joya coming in batting .231 on the season, 6 of 26, 3 doubles, a triple, and 5 RBIs. The wind, and that pitch is drilled into right field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. Holmes will stop at second. So the Dolphins starting to string together some hard-hit balls. They have 2 runners on now with 2 out, and it'll bring up the second baseman, Gabrielle De Leon.
And an error has been charged on that last Holmes single to the center fielder, Stephanie Cruz of the Lightning. So Holmes not credited with the RBI. Riches scores the run. Dolphins lead 1-0, threatening to add more.
The wind and the first pitch is taken up high for a ball. Then the count goes to 1-0. De Leon 3 for 13 on the year. That's .231. But she does have 3 RBIs, including that big clutch hit in game number 1 yesterday that gave the Dolphins their 1-0 win. The wind and that pitch is on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1. Dolphins with an unearned run here in the bottom half of the first inning to take a 1-0 lead, an opportunity for more, as that pitch is going to be a wild pitch. Go back to the screen. Big moment in the game here for the Dolphins as they have 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs here in the bottom of the first.
Certainly, Mike. Hopefully we can get these 2 in. Important to make Lehman make these plays.
2 balls, 1 strike now. As Villegas winds, the 2-1 is swung on and ripped foul over the Lightning dugout, now to play, and the count will run to 2-2.
And the mistakes the Lightning have made here in this first inning have been largely on routine plays and completely unforced. Of course, the wild pitch, the errant throw, and that bobble in center field.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch, and that's swung on, and that's grounded in the hole, and that's going to be in for a base hit. 1 run will score. Right behind her will be Joyer. Another big clutch hit for De Leon, and the Dolphins take a 3-0 lead.
And I expected a throw to come in from right field on that single, and there was no throw to be found there. I was waiting for a play at the plate, and it did not happen. That ball was hit hard through the right side. I thought that for sure the right fielder on the play, Angelina Gill, had an opportunity to make a throw home and potentially cut down Joya trying to score. The throw was not made, and now the Dolphins, after really, they should have been out of this inning, the Lightning. It should have been a 1-2-3 inning for Villegas on the mound. Instead, now the Dolphins have strung together 3 straight hits and put 3 runs on the scoreboard.
And Bobby, you know, how many times have you seen this throughout your career where you're cruising right along and you make that error on a routine play, and before you know it, the floodgates open?
Yeah, Mike, Dolphins doing a good job here, spoiling pitches, getting runners on base, and ultimately delivering.
As it'll be Allison Marr, the batter. And Joe, yesterday Allison hit the first home run of the 2018 season for the CSI Dolphins.
And it was a mammoth shot off the top of the scoreboard. Not much space to work with, dropping that ball straight down onto the top of the scoreboard, but Marr was able to pull it off.
As Marr nubs that one towards third base, it'll be Nieves getting it over to Adams in time for the final out of the inning, but not before the Dolphins score 3 runs on 3 hits. They take advantage of a couple of lightning mistakes, and they leave 1. We played 1 full in the books, 3-0. Dolphins lead. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. Whoops. We're back. As we get ready for the top half of the second inning, the Dolphins take a 3-0 lead. And, you know, Joe, for a team that's been struggling offensively, exactly the start the Dolphins needed, as they were able to take advantage of a couple of lightning mistakes.
And the Dolphins were a good throw by the Lightning away from being set down in order in the top half of the first inning. You have to think that may have been a bit of a discouraging start for the Dolphins. However, that is not how things played out. The error on the throw to first base by the shortstop for the Lightning, Miranda Diaz, allowing Patricia Riches to reach base with 2 outs. And then after that, Jamie Holmes hit a well-struck single. Vanessa Joya singled, followed by a 2 RBI single off the bat of Gabrielle De Leon. And just like that, the Dolphins lead 3-0 due to 2 errors committed by Lehman College to go along with a wild pitch in that first inning.
And, you know, Bobby, how important is it for Nicolette Trapani able to go back to the mound to start the second inning with a 3-0 lead?
Oh, 100%, Mike. It's always good to come out with a 3-0 lead. Keep the pressure on Lehman.
So it'll be Yadi Nieves leading off here for the Lightning. Nieves batting in the number 6 spot here for Lehman this afternoon. She's coming in batting .286 on the year, 10 of 35, with 3 doubles and 4 RBIs, and she falls behind in the count 0-2. And, Joe, I think Nicolette Trapani has gotten ahead of every batter 0-2 here so far this afternoon.
She has, and that's a recipe for success throughout this game.
The 0-2 is taken, strike 3 call, so Trapani has struck out all 4 outs here so far this afternoon. And I'm sorry, that was Polino leading off, and Nieves will be the batter now for the Lightning.
And as you said, Mike, Trapani doing a great job getting ahead here.
So Polino was coming in batting 192, and now Nieves batting 286, and she gets ahead in the count 1-0. The pitch is on the inside corner for a strike, 1-1. Trapani really starting to get into a groove, and she evens the count 1-1. The pitch is a swing and a miss, 1-2. And, you know, Bobby, it seems like the Lightning aren't getting a good look at the ball out of Trapani's hands.
No, these Lehman Lightning hitters seem a little late on Trapani's. Good stuff so far. And it's also important for the Dolphins' defense behind Trapani.
2 balls, 2 strikes to count. 1 out, nobody on. Dolphins with an early 3-0 lead. First of 2 from the CSI softball complex, and that's taken, strike 3 call. So Trapani continues to roll, picking up her 5th strikeout here this afternoon.
And a great start for Nicolette Trapani. A well-struck double in the top half of the first is all she has allowed thus far. And 5 outs recorded and now 5 strikeouts by Nicolette Trapani in this game.
The wind and the first pitch now to Haley Davila is taking a swing and a miss. Strike one. The wind and the pitch, a swing and a miss, strike two. So Trapani once ahead in the count, 0-2. And, you know, Joe, you mentioned earlier in the pregame the amount of success that Trapani has, including the all-time ERA record for the Dolphins. So this is a pitcher that's used to success as she comes in and strikes out the side and retires the Lightning in order. 3 up, 3 down, 6 strikeouts for Nicolette through the first inning and a half. 1.5 in the books. Dolphins lead by a score of 3-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back, and we're getting ready for the top half of the bottom half of the second inning. The Dolphins lead by a score of 3-0. Let us bring you a couple of lineup changes. First, as was mentioned earlier, Samantha Torres actually moved up into the number 7 spot, and she was the one that struck out to end the second inning for the Lightning. And here to start the bottom half of the second inning, a little bit of a surprise, Joe, as Tiffany Adams moves from first to the circle and Diamond Villegas goes over to first base. And, you know, Diamond pitched pretty well. You know, if not for that 2-out error, she could have been in the dugout after 3 batters.
And I've already said it more than once. If the defense got the job done behind Villegas in that first inning, she would have been out of that inning, setting the Dolphins aside in order. It didn't play out that way. The Dolphins lead 3-0, and now Villegas is replaced by Tiffany Adams, who's actually the team leader in ERA for Lehman College, coming in with a 6.18 ERA, a record of 1-1 over 5 appearances. She's only started 1 game as opposed to 6 by Villegas. She's pitched 22 innings and allowed 31 hits, 42 runs, only 20 of those earned, but she's walked 25, allowing 10 extra base hits, including 8 doubles, a triple, and a home run.
So Nicolette Trapani will lead off, and she'll take the first. Trapani, only 1 hit so far on the year, looking to get on track offensively for the Dolphins. The 1-0 way up high for a ball, 2-0.
Yeah, and Mike, and as we continue to emphasize, it's important for the Dolphins to put the ball in play and make Lehman make these plays. Make Lehman make these plays, keep the pressure on them.
On here in the bottom half of the second. And I mentioned the control issues for Adams coming into this outing today. She's walked 25 over 22 and 2/3. That's her 7-hit batter of the season as well. So Adams definitely has had some control issues, but that hasn't stopped her from leading her team in ERA. We'll see if she can find control here and get out of this inning without allowing any more damage. Her team already trailing by 3 runs.
And allowing batters to get on base without getting hits, it's very difficult to be successful.
Of course, Mike, and as CSI Baseball, the Dolphins head coach Mike Moore always said, you got to get that first guy, you got to get that leadoff guy. Walking players, getting them on base, it could lead to a snowball effect. That first out is always crucial.
So Trapani gets a base on balls. Quintella gets ahead in the count 2-0, and all of a sudden the Dolphins got a little something going here in their strike 3-1.
She does so for at least one more pitch, but the Dolphins already leading 3-0. Lehman simply can't afford to fall behind further this early in the game.
Quintella 4 for 15 on the year. That's 267 coming into the game today with a double and 2 RBIs. Ahead in the count now, 3-1. With Trapani on first base and no one out here in the bottom of the second, and that's up high for a ball, 2-0. So now the Dolphins get 2 runs.
When the Dolphins have put the ball in play, as we saw in the first inning, the Lightning haven't gotten it done behind their pitcher defensively as well. So the Lightning certainly have issues to fix here in the bottom half of the second inning. Walks and control issues in the circle, as well as the defensive issues. The Dolphins haven't had to put the ball in play so far in the bottom half of the second, and they already have 2 base runners on and nobody out.
And this has been a Lightning team that the Dolphins have had a lot of success at. Coming in and threatening once again with 2 runners on, no one out, and back to the top of the order, and Antoinette Galbo. And Galbo made the first out of the game, but she hit the ball hard after working the count full to 3-2. So she's 0 for 1 here this afternoon. So we're underway here. A little bit of a delay to the start of the...
Wild once again in danger of traveling to the backstop as the catcher had to come out of her crouch to make the play. Nicely done by Caitlin Vernon.
Yeah, Joe, and it's important for the rest of the Dolphins lineup to recognize and follow suit. Make her throw you a strike.
1 ball, no strikes to count that pitch, and that's going to be inside for a ball, 2-0, and you know, you mentioned before, Joe, those pitches really not even close enough. And the 2-0 is taken for a strike, 2-1.
I think these control issues from Adams make the pitching change that much more curious. Vilgas in that first inning pitched well and should have been out of the inning unscathed. And instead now she finds herself watching as Adams struggles to find the plate and once again behind in the count.
2-1 pitch, and that's going to be down and get back to the back screen. A wild pitch, and that'll advance both runners. So the Dolphins now with runners on second and third. As a timeout called. As the Lightning go out to the mound, and you know, Bobby, what are you going to tell a pitcher in a situation like?
They found themselves in the hole here the first 2 innings, so it's important for the Dolphins to keep the pressure on them.
So the Dolphins with an early 3-0 lead here as we get into the bottom half of the second inning. The Dolphins with 2 runners in scoring position, second and third, no one out. Trapani hit by a 2-0 pitch, and then Quintella drawing the base on balls, and now Galbo sitting with a 3-1 count. So Dolphins 1 pitch away from having the bases loaded. As we're going to get ready to get underway here. As Galbo will get back into the box ahead in the count 3-1, and really, Bobby, a good opportunity for her to look in a location and drive the ball.
I was just thinking that, Mike. 3-1 count, you're looking for 1 spot here, 1 spot only.
So Galbo in the box now as Adams is ready. The 3-1 is taken down low for a ball, and that'll load the bases. So the Dolphins load the bases without the benefit of a base hit. And now it'll be Ariana Di Benedetto. Ariana struck out. She's 0 for 1 here this afternoon. Big moment in the game here for the Dolphins as they have an opportunity to put this one away early. The wind and that first pitch is way up high for a ball, 1-0.
Have the Dolphins swung the bat in this half inning? They haven't put the ball in play, I know that. I'm not sure they've taken a swing.
I think you may be right, Joe.
1 ball, no strikes now on Di Benedetto. And the pitch is taken for a strike, 1-1.
It's important here for these, Mike and Joe, it's important here for these Dolphins hitters not to change their approach. keep working the count. Eventually, she's going to have to throw one over.
Patricia Riches on deck now with the bases loaded. 1-1 the count. And the pitch is swung on, and that's drilled into center field, and that'll be in for a base hit. Cruz comes up and gets the ball in quickly to Diaz, but it's a single and an RBI for DiBenedetto, and the Dolphins lead now 3-0. Well, 4-0, I should say.
And Riches will finally get an RBI chance with 3 on base. And you have to think that if you're Patricia Riches right now, you're looking to drive in more than just your first run of the season, an opportunity to really break this game open and get in the RBI column as well.
So Riches coming up with the bases loaded and takes the first pitch on the outside corner at the knees for a strike, 0-1. Patricia reached in the first inning on a 2-out error, and the Dolphins broke the door open, getting 3 runs from that point forward. They lead 4-0 now with the bases loaded and nobody out. The pitch is swung on and grounded foul. Adams ahead in the count, 0-2.
That's something we haven't said yet. Adams ahead in the count. Rich is in a 2-strike hole here.
So the Dolphins with 4 on the board here early have the bases loaded for their best hitter. Arguably the best hitter in the CUNYAC Conference, Patricia Riches. As she'll face Adams down in the count now, 0-2. The pitch. As so that time Riches gets hit by the pitch, but the umpire rules that she didn't make a sufficient effort to get out of the way, and the count goes to 1-2. Haven't seen that one in a while.
With the ball coming in that slowly, I'm not sure I try and get out of the way either.
1 ball, 2 strikes now on Riches. Nobody out. Bases loaded. The pitch is swung on, and that's grounded in the hole towards third. A nice play that time by Diaz, but the throw gets past Nieves, and the Dolphins will score a couple of runs on the play, and they will now take a 6-0 lead.
And we'll see what the scoring is on that if the error is charged on the thrower at third base. Looked like the throw was on target, maybe a little bit low, but definitely one that should have been handled. So I presume that error will go on the third baseman. We'll see how it's scored, and once I know, I'll share it.
But Riches should get the RBI on the play, so she'll get a single RBI, her first of the year. And the pitch now to Holmes is down low for a ball, 1-0.
Yeah, Mike, of course Rich is there looking to drive something, but a good job in an 0-2 count, putting the ball in play and making Lehman make mistakes.
So Dolphins now with a 6-0 lead, still nobody out. Runners on first and second, and the pitch to Holmes is down low for a ball. So the Dolphins getting out in front of this game early. Just 4 hits, but they've been able to take advantage of some walks and a hit batsman here in the second to double their lead to 6-0. The pitch is swung on, and that's blooped into center field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. Holding up on the play for the Dolphins was DiBenedetto, but she'll be able to go to third. Riches will go to second. Holmes at first. So the Dolphins continue to have the bases loaded with no one out here in the second.
The Mercy run now in scoring position over at second base. Still nobody out as Tiffany Adams continues to struggle through this second inning, bringing even more into question why Lehman College changed pitchers. I'm still not sure.
So bases loaded now once again. And now Vanessa Joya will be the batter. Joya, the big hit in the first inning, as that pitch is going to hit her, and now that will force in a run. As coming in to score on the play will be DiBenedetto. Joya hit by a pitch, so she'll be at first base for the second time in 2 innings. She'll pick up another RBI.
Gabrielle De Leon.
And the Dolphins open up their lead to 7-0.
That's hit batter number 8 for Adams on the season. Her second in this inning alone, still has not recorded an out.
So De Leon the batter, and that pitch is going to be taken for a ball, 1-0. And it was De Leon who had that big hit in the first inning for the Dolphins. As she picked up her 4th and 5th RBIs, and now she's ahead in the count at 2-0.
Yeah, Mike. Although the Dolphins are up to a quick early 7-0 lead, it's important for the dugout to stay up. Don't give Lehman a chance to come back in this game.
So 2 balls, no strikes now. Dolphins with the bases loaded once again. De Leon, the 8th player to bat, still nobody out. And she swings and fouls that one off. And now Adams looking to work her way back in the count, down 2-1. Lightning pinching the infielder and trying to cut off the run at the plate. As that pitch is swung on and grounded towards short, Diaz able to get the ball over to third. So on the 6-5 force out, it'll be an RBI, and the Dolphins open up their lead now to 8-0.
So Lehman does get an out here, but another run scored for the Dolphins.
And Allison Marr now will be the batter with runners at first and second and 1 out. Allison grounded out to end the first inning. She's 0 for 1. And that pitch is taken for a ball, 1-0. Dolphins batting around now in their half of the second inning. They lead by a score of 8-0 with runners at first and second and 1 out. Adams winds the pitch, is swung on and grounded over towards second. Played there by Polino. She'll underhand it over to Villegas in time for the second out. So now the runners will advance to second and third, but with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Nicolette Trapani. And it was Trapani that started this inning with the hit batsman, and that really opened the floodgates for the Dolphins.
Yeah, Mike Trapani having a good day here. Hopefully she could keep it going. Got a couple more RBIs for herself and get back out there on the mound.
So Trapani will be the 10th Dolphin to bat here. Dolphins leading here by a score of 8-0. Getting out to a quick start here. And looking to close the door early on the Lightning as that first pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0. See if they can get the Dolphins through the 4th with that 7+ run lead. 1-0 the count now as Adams looking in. And the pitch is swung, and that's grounded hard toward short. Backhanded by Diaz. The long throw across the diamond in time for the final out of the inning. Good stretch by Villegas. And the Lightning are able to close the door on the Dolphins, but not before they add 5 runs. 2 innings complete in the books. Dolphins lead by a score of 8-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back here at the CSI softball complex, and you know, Joe, it was a rough start for the season for the Dolphins out in Arizona, playing some very good competition and coming back with a record of 1-7, but 2 big non-conference wins here at home yesterday, and a big start for the Dolphins here this afternoon. And Dolphins seem to be playing very well at home here early in the 2018 season.
And we spoke about it a bit during the pregame. The Dolphins in that first game yesterday only had 4 hits, but they really got the bats going in the second game, picking up 8 hits and scoring 7 runs en route to the big win over the Golden Eagles. And it seems the momentum from that second game has carried over at the plate in the first game against the Lightning this afternoon. The Dolphins in the first inning again faced going down in order 1, 2, 3, but miscues in the field by the Lightning prolonged that first inning, and now the Dolphins lead by 8 runs after a big second inning.
So Nicolette Trapani, who struck out 6 of the 7 batters she's faced here this afternoon, will face Adriella Gill, and that first pitch is on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1.
And Mike, as we said, she continues to get ahead here.
That pitch is taken inside for a ball. That'll even up the count 1-0. Adrielina coming into the game batting just 167. She's 6 of 36. A double and an RBI for the Lightning, and that pitch is a swing and a miss, 1-2. Trapani coming into today's game with 14 strikeouts in 31 2/3 innings. Already with 6 here through 2 innings this afternoon. And that pitch is a swing and a miss, strike 3. So that will be strikeout number 7. And, you know, Joe Trapani looks really good on the mound, really overmatching the Lightning here early this afternoon.
And I was careful to say that again because in that first inning, Trapani, I thought it was overmatching Diamond Villegas before a double was crushed into right center field. However, she's maintained control of this Lightning lineup from that point forward, and every out she has recorded thus far has been via the strikeout.
So it's going to bring up the center fielder now for the Dolphins, Stephanie Cruz. Cruz batting .205 on the year, as that pitch is going to be swung on and nub foul, and Trapani went ahead in the count 0-2, and really doing a fabulous job of getting ahead. And a huge key to success is getting strike 1. And she's been doing a great job of that here this afternoon. The 0-2 pitch is swung on and bloop towards third. Galbo in foul territory will make the catch for the second out. 2 up, 2 down, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Miranda Diaz. Diaz 0 for 1, striking out to lead off the game.
And as you said, Joe, besides that double, she's been pretty much flawless here today.
And it also seems like when Trapani has worked upstairs, these hitters simply haven't been able to catch up to that ball. It's been the pitches that got low where they've been able to make contact.
That first pitch just off the outside corner for a ball, 1-0. Diaz, one of 2 batters, batting over 300 for the Lightning coming into today's game at 310 as that pitch is on the outside corner, and that'll even up the count now at 1-1. Trapani looking to work quickly now. And the pitch is swung on, skied up in the air, over toward the first base dugout, now to play, and that will run the count now to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. We're in the top half of the 3rd inning. It's been all Dolphins in this first game so far, and they lead by a score of 8-0. As that pitch is swung on, hit hard on her bounce to Riches. She guns it over to first base in time for the final out of the inning. 3 up, 3 down, 8 in a row now for Trapani. Nothing across for the Lightning, 2.5 in the books with the score. Dolphins 8, Lightning nothing. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back, and we're getting ready now for the bottom half of the third inning. It's been all CSI this afternoon. They lead by a score of 8-0. And, Bobby, they haven't necessarily hit the cover off the ball, but they've been able to successfully take advantage of some lightning mistakes.
Yeah, Mike, as we said in the beginning of the game and as we focused on, it's just important to put balls in play and make Lehman make a play. They've been seen to make some mistakes, as we said, only 29 earned runs. And here we are off to an 8-0 lead.
Yeah, and Joe, it's been a couple of frustrating years in a row for the spring sports teams. A lot of cold weather here and a nice day here this afternoon, but we mentioned a little earlier, the rest of the week looking a little sketchy here for both the softball and the baseball teams.
Our first softball broadcast was scheduled for all the way back on March 1st. It's now March 31st, 30 days later, and we're broadcasting our first game of the season. Of course, the Dolphins played yesterday, weather not allowing for us to set up our equipment outside. But in this game for the Dolphins, it's been a simple recipe for success. Don't chase the ball out of the strike zone and put the ball in play. That's been all it's taken for them to get out to an 8-run lead early in this third inning.
So it'll be Juliana Quintella to lead off here for the Dolphins. Juliana walked in her first at-bat and came around to score as the Dolphins put up 5 runs in their half of the second inning, and she gets ahead in the count 2-0. And, Bobby, just impossible to be successful if you can't get the ball over the plate. That's where it all starts.
Exactly, Mike. That's why we touched on it earlier. It's important for the Dolphins lineup to keep the same pace, keep the same approach, make them throw you a strike, keep getting runners on base.
And now that's going to run the count to 2-1 on Quintella. Dolphins can close this game out. They can maintain their 8-run lead here as they lead by a score of 8-0 as Quintella swings and nubs that one foul at the plate to even the count at 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the bottom half of the third inning. Dolphins with 3 unearned runs in the first inning to take that early lead. They expanded it with 5 in the second as that pitch will be inside and run the count full to 3-2. Adams working very deliberately out on the mound and looking at her wristband before the pitch, and the 3-2 is swung on, and that drilled into center field. That'll be in for a base hit. Cruz will play the ball on a hop, and she'll get it back into the infield, but Quintella now been on base twice, a single and a walk, and the Dolphins have their leadoff batter on once again. And, Bobby, how important is it that some of these players get a little more success at the plate here early this year?
Yeah, Mike, 100%. In a game like this, it's important. Get yourself going. Get yourself on base and start hopefully get a rhythm for the rest of the conference play.
So that will bring the Dolphins back to the top of the order, and Antoinette Galbo. Galbo flied to center, walked and scored. So she's 0 for 1 officially, goes behind in the count now, 0-1.
And not to be overlooked, the Dolphins have put together some very good at-bats, such as that last at-bat by Quintella.
As Galbo looks at that one for a hit, but fouls it off and falls behind in the count now, 0-2.
Just finishing my point quickly, when they haven't been able to draw walks, they've hit the ball pretty hard and put it in play at the very least, but there have been some well-struck base hits for the Dolphins so far in this game. And I take a look, they actually don't have an extra base hit as of yet. All singles, but hit very hard in most cases.
As that pitch is swung on and grounded, Quintella will go to second base. So Galbo out for the second time this afternoon, 4-3 for the first out, and that'll bring up Ariana DiBenedetto. DiBenedetto 1 for 2, singled, scored, drove in a run, and struck out.
And DiBenedetto, another RBI opportunity here. Look to drive her in.
DiBenedetto with the second hit of her career for the Dolphins, and also drove in her first run with that single in the second. Adams looking for her pitch selection as she gets ready. with a runner on second base now. That's Quintella, and one out. The pitch is down low, and it's going to get away, and that will be a wild pitch, and that will allow Quintella to advance to third base. So, once again, Bobby, the Lightning struggling a little bit with their fundamentals here in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, Mike, and the Dolphins not changing anything, taking those extra bags. Keep the pressure on Lehman.
2 balls, no strikes now on DiBenedetto. The pitch is swung on and bunted in front of the plate, and coming in to score on the play will be Quintella, and heading down to second base will be DiBenedetto, and the Dolphins will open up their lead now to 9-0.
And I thought the Lightning had the out at the plate there, just missing. The tag was Vernon as she made a diving attempt to cut down Quintella, trying to score a well-placed bunt just far enough in front of the plate to give Quintella enough time to score, and taking the extra base wisely was DiBenedetto as well. So good heads-up base running and a nice bunt.
So that'll bring up Patricia Riches, and she gets ahead in the count now, 1-0.
And, Mike, as we've been accustomed to seeing last year, really look for Riches to drive something here.
She comes up once again with runners in scoring position, a runner on second base, and 1 out. The pitch is outside for a ball, 2-0. Patricia 1 for 2, singled and reached on an error. That error turned out to be the turning point early in the game, as that opened the door for 3 unearned runs for the Dolphins. They picked up 5 in the second. Another run here so far in the third to lead 9-0 as that pitch is well upstairs for a ball, 3-0. And, Bobby, Patricia is the best hitter on the team, gets to see a lot of pitches, and a lot of pitches work around her. And, it must be frustrating for a batter, but important that you don't allow a pitcher to get you to chase pitches that you shouldn't be swinging at.
Yeah, Mike, especially if you're Riches here. You want to think one zone only.
3-0 pitch is way up high for a ball 4. So Riches draws the base on balls. She's been on base all 3 times this afternoon. And the Dolphins now with runners at first and second, and that'll bring up Jamie Holmes. And, Joe, Holmes off to a fast start here this afternoon, and Dolphins really need production out of Jamie from the plate this year.
Especially if she's hitting in the cleanup spot. Already a pair of base hits in this game, and in that second game yesterday against the Golden Eagles, Holmes had 3 hits and 3 at-bats, including 2 runs scored and a pair of RBIs as well. So Jamie Holmes has really stepped up for the Dolphins so far, hitting in the cleanup spot both today and in that second game against the Golden Eagles yesterday, as well as the first game against the Golden Eagles, I believe. I'll take a quick look to confirm that. And indeed, she was in the 4 spot. So Jamie Holmes has been the cleanup hitter for the Dolphins the last 3 games and has gotten the job done in that position.
So it looks like we're going to have a couple of changes here coming up for the Lightning. As we take a look at our program here, it looks like Yede Nieves will come in to pitch. So Nieves will come in and pitch. Villegas will go to third base. And I'm going to guess Adams is going back to first, although I'm not sure about that yet. So it'll be Yedi Nieves coming in to pitch here for the Lightning. It'll be Diamond Villegas going down to play third base. And it will be Tiffany Adams going back to play first base, as Nieves will come into the game here for the Lightning. Yede coming in with a 1-5 record, a 10.11 ERA. This is going to be her 7th appearance, her first in relief. She's pitched 27 innings, allowed 57 hits, 39 runs. 39 earned runs, 62 runs total, walked 13, and struck out 30. So Nieves coming in here to face Jamie Holmes, as Holmes will bat with runners at first and second. Still just 1 out. Dolphins comfortably in control of this one, leading by a score of 9-0.
And a very quick point on Nieves in the circle. She has had some control issues. Over 27 innings, has issued 13 walks and hit 5 batters, but those control problems not as big as the ones we saw from Tiffany Adams, both on the stat sheet and in the game today. We'll see if Nieves can come in and throw strikes.
The wind and the pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0.
And, Mike, as I touched on earlier, with a game like this, with the score being 9-0, sometimes it can be a little challenging to keep up and keep the energy. But looking over at the CSI Dolphins dugout, they're staying in the game, they're keeping up, and they're keeping the pressure on Lehman.
So Nieves winds the pitch, is taken for a strike, and that'll even the count up at 1-1. First and second for the Dolphins, 1 run in. They've scored in every inning, and they lead by a score of 9-0. The 2-1 pitch is down low for a ball, 3-1. That's 2-1. See the Lightning players looking at their pitches on their wristband before each pitch as that pitch is swung on and nubbed towards shortstop, and coming over and making the play on that one will be Diaz. So Holmes hit that one hard, but right at Diaz for the second out.
Yeah, Mike, I was just going to say that. Another hard hit ball by Holmes, so an out recorded, but she's seen the ball well here today.
And that's something I mentioned last year as well, I believe, when you and I covered the Lightning and Dolphins doubleheader in 2017, Mike. These pitchers do refer to that wristband before just about every pitch, if not on every single pitch, and Nieves hasn't changed that since last year.
And that first pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0, and Joya, one of the best hitters for the Dolphins in 2017, off to a little bit of a slow start here this year, but been on base twice here so far in game number 1. She singled and was hit by a pitch and drove in a run. That pitch is down low for a ball, 2-0. Looking ahead into the fourth for the Lightning, Villegas, Vernon, and Adams scheduled to bat against Trapani. Nicolette comfortably in front here, leading 9-0. Dolphins looking for more with 2 out as that one will be fouled off, and the count will go to 2-1. First of 2 here, opening conference game for both these teams. Dolphins off to a good start and looking for more here with first and second and 2 out. The pitch is swung on and fouled out over the dugout and out of play, and that'll run the count even to 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on for the Dolphins as Nieves gets ready. Here's the pitch, swung on, and that's drilled deep to left field. Away back, but foul. So that ball had enough distance to leave the yard, but just foul. Joya just misses our first home run of the year.
Just misses by about a foot or 2.
And yesterday the Dolphins had some very well-struck foul balls as well. We saw at least 3 or 4 of them that if the foul pole is where the corner of the fence is, maybe about 20 feet to the left, slightly less than that perhaps, but if the foul pole was in the corner, the Dolphins would have had 3 or 4 more home runs yesterday. They've been hitting the ball very well, just getting a bit out in front.
So Joya back in the box now, the 2-2 once again, and that's going to be down low for a ball. It'll be another wild pitch, and that will allow runners to advance to second and third now with 2 outs. And the count runs full to Joya at 3-2.
Not something we see too often, but the Lightning right now don't have an answer for the problem of being unable to throw strikes here in this game.
So now the 3-2 pitch. The wind and the pitch is taken down low for a ball, ball 4, and Lightning already down by a score of 9-0, but, Bobby, if I'm looking at Vanessa Joya and then De Leon, I'm going to take my chances with De Leon with an open base with Joya.
Especially the way Joya's been swinging here today.
So the bases are loaded now with 2 out, and that'll bring up Gabrielle De Leon. De Leon 1 for 2 this afternoon, but she had that big hit in the first. She picked up another couple of RBIs here this afternoon after driving in the game-winning run in game number 1 yesterday, and she gets ahead in the count now, 1-0. One ball. As Nieves winds, the 1-0 is swung on, and that's drilled off the glove of the shortstop and into left field. That will be a base hit. Riches will come around to score. The runners will advance, and another 2 RBIs for Gabrielle De Leon. She has 4 on the afternoon, and the Dolphins now lead by a score of 11-0.
And De Leon now, I believe, has just taken the team lead in RBIs. If my calculation is correct, that is RBI number 7 and RBI number 8 for her on the season. Already had 3 in this game, a 2 RBI single in the first, and drove in a run on a fielder's choice in the second. So credit her with 2 more batted in. That single drives in both Riches and Di Benedetto.
So that'll bring up Allison Marr. She's 0 for 2 this afternoon. And the Dolphins with runners on second and third once again with 2 outs. The pitch is going to be a swing and a miss. Dolphins struggling for runs all season long. Not struggling here this afternoon. 3-5-3 for their 11 as that swung on and grounded to third. It'll be played there by Vallegras. She'll get it over to Adams in time for the final out of the inning, but not before the Dolphins add another 3 runs as they send 8 batters to the plate in their half of the third inning. 3 innings complete. Dolphins lead by a score of 11-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back as we get ready now for the top half of the 4th inning. All Dolphins as they lead by a score of 11-0.
And CSI has gotten on the scoreboard in each of the first 3 innings. We mentioned it already several times in that first inning. Nearly went down in order. Error committed by the Lightning opened the door for 3 runs. 5 more in the second. Another 3 runs in the third. Dolphins lead 11-0.
So here leading off for the Lightning will be Diamond Vallegras. She had the 1 hit of the game as she doubled as that ball is grounded to third. Played there by Galbo. She'll get it over to first base in time for the out. 1 away.
Yeah, Mike. Although 11-0, look for Trapana to keep the same approach coming right at these Lehman hitters.
So it looks like they're going to rule it a foul ball, so Vallegras will get another opportunity here to swing the bat. So no balls, 1 ball and 2 strikes now the count on Vallegras as that pitch is down low for a ball, 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch is taken inside for a ball. Count up on the scoreboard is 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike to count. And that pitch is skied up in the air to left field. Drifting back on the ball, way back and going over the head of Di Benedetto, and that ball will be off the wall, and Villegas will go into second base with a double. And, you know, Bobby, she's put one off the left center field and right center field walls.
Yeah, Mike, that ball carried a lot more than I thought it was going to.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Bobby. That ball just kept going and going. Initially, I thought it was a routine fly ball to left field, and that ball just carried up and over the head of the left fielder, Ariana Di Benedetto, and she had an opportunity to make that play. It looked like the ball made contact about a third of the way up the wall, maybe halfway up the wall, and fortunately it did not bounce off the wall forcefully enough that she needed to chase it, and the runner stops at second with a double. That was Villegas, but we do have a pinch runner over at second now. I think I see number 18 is the pinch runner for the Lightning, and number 18 would be Lisette Guerrero.
So there'll be a pinch runner here for the Lightning as they look to get on the scoreboard here. Nicolette Trapani has been dominant against every player against Diamond Villegas. She's on second base with nobody out, and now Vernon finds herself ahead in the count at 2-0.
Yeah, Mike Villegas showing powers to both right and left center.
As that's going to be a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2-1. Vernon 0 for 1. She struck out in the first.
And you mentioned how well Nicolette Trapani has handled everyone except Diamond Villegas. She had only thrown 40 pitches up until that last one.
As Trapani fields that one on a hop, she goes right to first base in time for the out, and Villegas goes on to third base. But, you know, Bobby, exactly what you're looking for. Up with a big lead, you get the sure outs.
Exactly, Mike. Trapani doing a good job there, taking care of the double. Coming right at the next hitter, getting an out.
So that's going to bring up the first baseman, Tiffany Adams. She's 0 for 1. She struck out in her first at-bat as well, as that first pitch is inside for a ball, 1-0. One out, one on for the Lightning as that ball is swung out and grounded towards third. Riches goes to first. Coming in to score for the Lightning will be the pinch runner, Guerrero, and the Lightning get on the board with the one-out RBI ground out by Adams.
The deficit's still 10 for Lehman College. They have more work to do over the rest of this fourth inning and the fifth if they want to prolong this game.
As the first pitch now to Polino is taken for a strike, 0-1. Genesis struck out in the leading off the second, so she's 0 for 1. And that pitch is taken for a strike, and the count quickly goes to 0-2. The wind and the 0-2 is going to be swung on and missed, strike 3. So Trapani does a nice job of coming back after allowing the leadoff double to retire the final 3 batters in a row for the Lightning. So they pick up a run, they pick up a hit, and they don't have anybody left. So we played 3.5 innings. Dolphins now lead by a score of 11-1. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back, getting ready now for the bottom half of the fourth inning. Nicolette Trapani loses her shutout, but Dolphins still comfortably in control of this one, Joe, and getting themselves to within 3 outs of a Game 1 victory.
And the Dolphins haven't had to do too much to jump out to an 11-0 lead, and that may be a bit surprising to hear, but the Dolphins really have had to be patient at the plate and put the ball in play. When they put the ball in play, at times Lehman College has been unable to make those plays, and by being patient at the plate, they've set themselves up to hit the ball very hard as well. That, of course, is when they aren't drawing walks. They've already drawn several walks. 2 batters have been hit by pitches, and the Dolphins have had no shortage of base runners so far in this game.
So it'll be Nicolette Trapani to lead off here. Nicolette hit by a pitch and scored and grounded to short. She's 0 for 1. Nieves looking in for the sign. The 1-0 is taken for a strike. That'll even the count up at 1-1. About 20, 25 minutes or so after the conclusion of game number 1, we'll be back to bring you game number 2. Dolphins have closed to within 3 outs of getting their first conference win of the year as Nieves pitches down low for a ball, and Trapani now ahead in the count at 2-1. Nieves looking in for the sign. And the pitch. It's inside for a ball. And I believe the count is 3-1, and it is. Juliana Quatella on deck for the Dolphins. We won the count. And the pitch is swung on and fouled back up over the screen and out of play, and that'll run the count full to Trapani at 3-2.
And you know, Mike, I really like the Dolphins' approach here today up at the plate. Seeing a lot of pitches, getting a lot of walks, a lot of base runners, and ultimately delivering when it counts.
Yeah, Dolphins finally breaking out offensively. They scored just 24 runs in their first 10 games. Just 2.4 runs a game average. Coming out with 11 here this afternoon. As that pitch is swung on and drilled into right center field, and coming over quickly is going to be the right fielder Gill, and she makes the catch for the out. A nice running catch that time by Gill for the Lightning.
Nice play there in right field by Gill, but nearly another miscue as that ball popped out of the glove for a moment. She was able to recover and make the play, and I'm not sure I can recall. I'm almost certain that since the first inning, the Lightning haven't recorded the first out without a runner reaching base beforehand. So good job by Yadi Nieves to do so here.
So that's going to bring up Quatella. Juliana walked and singled. She's 1 for 1. She's been on base twice. She's scored twice for the Dolphins here this afternoon, and she gets ahead in the count now at 1-0. Nieves looking in for the sign. The 1-0 pitch way up high for a ball, 2-0. The Dolphins sent 7 batters to bat in the first, 10 in the second, 8 in the third. And they lead here by a score of 11-1. The 2-0 pitch. Inside corner for a strike, 2-1. Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the fourth.
And not only is Nieves referring to the wristband, I think she's getting the signs from the dugout.
As that pitch is swung on and foul back, and that's going to even the count up at 2-2. We're here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Dolphins and Lightning, their first conference games of the year. Dolphins have scored in their first 3 at-bats. And they lead 11-1. The pitch down low for a ball. That'll run the count full to Quatella at 3-2. Nieves now getting ready for the 3-2 pitch. Here it comes. Swung on and fouled back out of play, and the count will hold at 3-2. First of two here this afternoon at the CSI Softball Complex. Dolphins won their first two home games yesterday. And that pitch is outside for a ball 4. So Patella's on base here this afternoon for the Dolphins. And that'll take us back to the top of the order and the third baseman, Antoinette Galbo.
And that's back-to-back at-bats for Cretella, where she's done a great job working the count. Of course, she came through with a single in her last at-bat, ultimately scored. And here, again, works the count very well, fights off some pitches, and able to draw a walk.
So that will bring up Antoinette Galbo, and she takes the first pitch for a strike, 0-1. Antoinette 0 for 2. She flied to center and grounded to second in between walking and scoring in the second. Dieves winds. The 0-1 is fouled back to the screen, and Galbo falls behind in the count now at 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes for the Dolphins. They have a runner on and 1 out here in the bottom half of the 4th. As that pitch is down low for a ball, and that'll run the count to 1-2. A lot expected, Joe, out of Antoinette Galbo this year for the Dolphins. One of the plays in a leadership position here for this 2018 team, Joe.
They certainly did. And coming into this game, we did Patricia Riches, the 2 Dolphins, hitting over 300. And not only do they need her to be a leader on the team off of the diamond, but on it as well. And we mentioned the number. I think it was 346. Galbo comes in hitting at 346. At the top of the order, they really need her to get on base and set up Patricia Riches to finally drive in some more runs. She picked up her first RBI earlier, but I'm sure the Dolphins expected far more in the RBI column from Riches to this point in the season. Of course, that's not her own fault, since she's
and that'll bring up Ariana DiBenedetto. And good game, Bobby, for DiBenedetto so far, as she scored a couple of runs and knocked in a couple as well.
Yeah, Mike. I took the words right out of my mouth. Let's see if DiBenedetto could keep going here.
As that first pitch is, I believe, taken for a ball. Lightning trying to retire the Dolphins for the first time this afternoon. Is quick throw over to first base. Galbo able to get back. Dolphins able to turn a 2-out error on Patricia Riches. Earned runs in the bottom of the first. Haven't looked back yet. And now lead by a score of 11-1 with 2 outs and a runner on first base and a 1-0 count on DiBenedetto. That's going to be taken for a strike. Nieves working deliberate. Second base will be Galbo. I think that one might be a pass ball on the play. And now Galbo will be in scoring position with 2 outs. And it looks like the count is 2-1. 3-1. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, they just it.
Yeah, so 3 balls, 1 strike to count. I had a 3-1 on my scorecard.
As did I.
It looks like we'll have a break in the action for a moment, perhaps. The umpire's consulting over the count. Either way, I do have a score update for those interested in Major League Baseball. The Mets playing the Cardinals at Citi Field today. New York leads St. Louis 2-0 in the bottom of the first inning on a Todd Frazier RBI double, driving in Yoenis Cespedes and Jay Bruce. So some good news for Mets fans, in addition to all the good for Dolphins fans on the diamond here today.
So now DiBenedetto ahead in the count, 3-1 with 2 outs. The pitch is swung on and foul back to the screen, and the count went 3-2.
Yeah, Mike, and even that pitch, she was right on it. Fouled it straight back. So another RBI opportunity here for Ariana Benedetto.
The 3-2. Outside for a ball 4, and that will put on first and second base and bring up Patricia Riches. And hard to believe, Joe, but Patricia did not picking up her first RBI of the year until earlier this afternoon.
And I mentioned before how Riches hitting in the leadoff spot for several games impacted that statistic, but another opportunity to drive in a run or more right now at the plate. She batted with the bases loaded back in the second inning, drove in a single run on a fielder's choice.
As that first pitch is taken down low for a ball now, 1-0 on Riches. And she comes up with a runner in scoring position once again. And ahead in the count, 1-0. The pitch is swung on and grounded to short. Played there nicely that time by Diaz. She gets it over to third base in time for the final out of the inning. So the Dolphins threaten but do not score. Nothing across for the Dolphins here in their half of the fourth inning. We'll head to the top of the fifth. Dolphins lead by a score of 11-1. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back, and we get ready now for the top half of the fifth inning. The Dolphins lead by a score of 11-1. And, you know, Joe, something the Dolphins have really been looking forward to is breaking out a little. We mentioned earlier just 24 runs in their first 10 games, but the Dolphins getting the bats going a little bit in Game 2 yesterday and doing much better here this afternoon.
They certainly have gotten it going at the plate. 8 hits in this game, but some very good at-bats, a lot of which have resulted in walks. We saw a couple of batters hit by pitches as well. The Dolphins have this game as that throw is dropped over at first base. It looks like the runner may have beaten it out regardless, so I think a base hit will be awarded there.
So Nieves puts that ball down, and she's able to reach first base to get the inning started here for the Lightning. As they try to get this game extended, they need some runs here. As it looks like the Lightning will have a pinch hitter here, as it's going to be Denise Gonzalez to pinch hit for the Lightning. 1-0 the count. Gonzalez, a left-handed batter. The pitch. Let's take it for a strike, 1-1. So Nieves with a bunt single, the third hit of the game for the Lightning. She's on first base, and that pitch is going to be swung on and fouled back. So Trapani ahead in the count now, 1-2, after falling behind 1-0 on Gonzalez. Denise looking for her first hit. She's 0 for 6 to start the 2018 season here for the Lightning. One ball, 2 strikes as Joya making a little bit of an adjustment to her equipment here. As she gets ready and gets set behind the plate. Gonzalez gets ready to step back in, and now Trapani's ready. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. It swung on and grounded back to the mound. Bobbled by Trapani. She's able to pick it up and get it over to first base in time for the out. So the bobble prevented an opportunity at getting the lead runner, but Trapani able to stay with it and make the play for the first out.
And, of course, you'd love to get the lead runner if you can, but with a 10-run lead, it's not the primary focus. Just continue to put outs up on the scoreboard. The Dolphins now a pair of outs away from ending this game in 4.5 innings.
So now it'll be 1 out and a runner on second base, and Adrielina Gill will be the batter. And the first pitch is taken down low for a ball, 1-0. Gill 0 for 1 in her only at-bat. She struck off leading off the third. Trapani looking in for the sign, the 1-0 on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1. And, you know, Bobby, all day long, Trapani's not only been getting ahead, but she's been getting ahead with quality pitches.
Definitely, Mike. And as I touched on earlier briefly, with Trapani throwing strikes continuing this game, it also keeps the defense on its feet.
As that ball is drilled into center field, but Severicio comes over and gets her first put out of the afternoon for the second out, so the Lightning down to their final out.
And not only has Trapani been getting ahead with quality pitches, as you just mentioned, Mike, but a ton of swing and misses in this game for the Lightning. There's been no shortage of those. And, of course, the strikeout numbers for Trapani attest to that as well.
So the first pitch is going to be taken for a strike. And having number 2 batting for the Lightning that I don't have on my scorecard.
Karen Rivera.
Karen Rivera, the batter, and she quickly falls behind in the count now, 0-2. So Rivera in the program is 42 on my Lightning roster, wearing number 2, and she fouls that one back. Lightning down to their last strike as Trapani goes. As the Lightning go, with a runner on second base as Trapani winds, the 0-2 pitch is just off the corner for a ball, 1-2. About 20-25 minutes after the conclusion of game number 1, Joe Foreman will be back to bring you play-by-play of game number 2 as that one is fouled back to the screen. And the count will hold at 1-2 as we'll go off the air for a couple of minutes and then come back and bring you the recap of game number 1 as well as get you ready for game 2 action. That pitch is fouled back and the count holds at 1-2 on Rivera. Karen looking for her first hit of the year. She's 0 for 5 as that pitch is just outside for a ball, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, a runner on second. As Trapani looks in for the sign, the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. So Nicolette Trapani able to come in and get a strikeout, and the Dolphins win game number 1 by a final score of 11-1. Good win for the Dolphins. They came out, scored early, got good pitching from Trapani, Joe, and never looked back.
A great all-around effort for the Dolphins in their first conference matchup of the season. In the circle, Nicolette Trapani getting it done, finishes the game now with 9 strikeouts. Dolphins also getting it done in the field, a clean game in the field, did not commit any errors, of course. An error hurt them yesterday as a pair of unearned runs scored as a result of an error committed in game number 2 of the doubleheader against the Golden Eagles. Those 2 runs, the only runs the Dolphins allowed yesterday, and here today against the Lightning, they allow a single run in the first game. That came in the 4th inning following a double by Diamond Villegas, and then an RBI fielder's choice off the bat of Tiffany Adams drove her in. So for the Dolphins, a very strong effort in game 1, putting together 11 runs on 8 hits at the plate. As I mentioned, Nicolette Trapani getting it done in the circle with 9 strikeouts. Dolphins clean in the field, did not commit a single error. On the other side for the Lightning, they commit 3 errors, only pick up 3 base hits and score that single run from back in the 4th inning.
And Nicolette Trapani, who started out the year 0-4, has now picked up 2 wins in the space of 24 hours, pitching an 8-hit shutout yesterday and coming up with a strong 3-hitter here in this 5-inning short game in game number 1 this afternoon. So that's going to wrap things up here for game number 1. What we're going to do is step aside, go off the air for a couple of minutes. Joe Foreman will be back to bring you the play-by-play of game number 2 as the Dolphins win their first conference game of the year, win their 3rd game in a row, and up their record to 4-10. So this is Mike Babuski for Bobby Drake and Joe Foreman saying thanks for watching game number 1. Stay tuned right with us as we'll be back shortly to bring you game number 2 as you've been watching women's softball coverage right here on your voice of everything CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Live from the CSI Softball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents more NCAA Division III women's softball coverage. Today's matchup features the College of Staten Island taking on the Lehman College Lightning in Game 2 of our CUNYAC doubleheader. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, joined by both Bobby Drake and Mike Baybuski. And Mike, in the first game, we mentioned going into it that the Dolphins came in a little bit slow at the plate, weren't swinging the bats particularly well, though they did pick it up in Game 2 of yesterday's doubleheader. They went a long way toward correcting that with 11 runs on the scoreboard in their big 10-run victory in Game number 1 today.
Yeah, and Joe, it's amazing how quickly things change in softball. The Dolphins came home from that road trip in Arizona with a record of, just 1-7, but now they've won 3 games in a row. Nicolette Trapani, within the space of 24 hours, has pitched a 8-hit shutout, and they picked up another victory, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits. And the bats are starting to pick up a little bit. Gabrielle De Leon picking up 5 RBIs after driving in the winner in game number 1 in yesterday's doubleheader. And Dolphins looking good in their first conference game, and going into Game 2 today with a lot of momentum and looking to sweep the doubleheader with Allison Marr on the mound for the Dolphins.
And we questioned during the first game why the Lightning may have pulled Diamond Villegas from the game in the first inning, though she didn't allow an earned run in that first inning. An error made behind her plated 3 Dolphins runs ultimately in that first inning, and she did not get to come out for the second. However, we do see why now, as Villegas will start Game 2 as well. So perhaps the Lightning, after falling behind, didn't want to waste her and allow the Dolphins to see her again, a second turn through the order. But Bobby, you might have some more insight into this. Do you think it really makes a big difference seeing a pitcher maybe once or twice more ahead of time before facing them again, maybe even on the same day, as is the case with softball?
Yeah, Joe, 100%. Even if it's just getting through that lineup the first part, seeing a pitcher beforehand definitely gives you great advantage. And as we spoke on earlier, Nicolette Trapani was magnificent, as well was the Dolphins' approach up at the plate. So they'll look to continue that here in game number 2.
Well, we saw some very good at-bats from the Dolphins in game number 1. We'll look to see more of that in game number 2 as Allison Marr winds up and throws our first pitch of game 2 today. It's taken for a called strike. We didn't get a chance to bring you the starting lineups for the second game, though. It is Miranda Diaz, the shortstop, leading off for the Lightning. We'll give you the full lineups at our next break. As that's hit slowly on the ground over to short, Riches scoops it up and throws on over to Trapani for out number 1. And Mike, very quickly, you have the starting lineup. You can share that with the listeners.
It's Miranda Diaz leading off at shortstop. Diamond Villegas coming up now, batting second and pitching. Caitlin Vernon will be catching, batting third. Tiffany Adams at first base, batting fourth. Yadi Neves, third base, batting fifth. Denise Gonzalez, DH, batting sixth. Samantha Torres, left field, seventh. Genesis Polino will bat eighth. Adriana Gill will play in right field and bat ninth, and Karen Rivera will get the start in center field. She'll be the flex player for the Lightning.
And at the plate for the Lightning right now is Diamond Villegas. She swung the bat very well in that first game. Had 2 balls that were very well struck all the way out to the wall, 1 in right center and 1 to straightaway left field. Both went for doubles, and she was pinch run for, though the runner who took her place at second did eventually come around to score the lone Lehman College run. As she fouls one off to the backstop and is behind in the count 1-2.
Quickly getting you the Dolphins defensively. Nicolette Trapani at first, Gabrielle De Leon at second, Patricia Riches at short, Antoinette Galbo at third, Nicole Malik in left, Christina Severicio in center, Juliana Quintella in right, Jamie Holmes catching, and Allison Marr on the mound for the Dolphins.
And once again, Villegas hits the ball hard through the gap on the right side, but is thrown out at first base from right field, and that's never something that you want to see happen to you as a player. But that ball was hit very hard. Nicely done by Juliana Cortella to charge and cut down Villegas at first base.
Yeah, Joe, as you said, Villegas continues to hit the ball well.
She's made solid contact so far in both games today, and it will now be Caitlin Vernon to face Allison Marr, who's retired the first 2 Lehman College batters in this first inning.
Yeah, and a nice defensive play that time by Quintella, coming in hard on the ball and getting the ball over to first. So the Dolphins get a big second out here, 2 up, 2 down quickly for the Lightning.
A rare 9-3 putout, as that's taken for ball 2. Vernon now ahead in the count, 2-0.
Caitlin 0 for 2 in the first game. with a strikeout.
And a 2-0 pitch rolled slowly to third. Galbo comes in and a strong throw over to Trapani at first in time. And the Lightning go down in order. A hard hit ball by Diamond Villegas, but she is retired on the 9-3 putout. 1-2-3 inning for Allison Marr. After 1.5 inning of play, there is no score. Dolphins get their first turn at bat when we come back here on CSI Sportsnet at csidolphins.com. And we're back here from the CSI softball complex. No score through 1/2 inning of play. Dolphins winning the first game of today's doubleheader over the Lightning 11-1. And here in this first inning, the Dolphins look to get on the scoreboard early. Once again, the Dolphins scored in each of the first 3 innings in the last game against the Lightning and put up 3, 5, and 3 runs in those 3 innings, respectively. How important is it for the Dolphins to get off to a similar start here in the second game?
Well, you know, Dolphins looking to get off to another fast start, and they got off to a fast start defensively, Joe. A couple of very good defensive plays in that top half of the first inning as Allison Marr ties the Lightning in order, and, you know, Dolphins look to come out and get off to a quick start. A little bit of a change in the Dolphin lineup here in game number 2. Patricia Riches will lead off and play shortstop. It'll be the rest of the lineup: Antoinette Galbo, Vanessa Joya, Jamie Holmes, Gabrielle De Leon off of her big 5 RBIs in the first game, Allison Marr, Christina Severicio, Nicolette Trapani, Juliana Quintella, and Nicole Malak will get the start in left field, Joe, as the flex player who will not bat.
And you mentioned the changes in the lineup, but that does not mean the Dolphins have to change their approach. Bobby, you said you liked the Dolphins' approach in that first game. What did you see that you liked?
Yeah, Drew, throughout the entire first game, they did a very good job up at the plate, seeing pitches, spoiling pitches, getting on base. They had multiple base runners each inning, ultimately driving them in. So they'll look to have the same approach here in game number 2.
And Patricia Riches now leading off for the Dolphins, as Mike just mentioned, and she takes a called strike.
She did not like that call.
Tricia scoring 3 runs in the first game, as well as picking up our first RBI of 2018.
And the 0-1 pitch hit well out towards center field, and unable to chase it down is the center fielder out there for the Lightning. I have to get my defensive alignment in front of me, but in center field is Karen Rivera. That is a leadoff double for Patricia Riches, and the Dolphins quickly have a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, as Riches continues to smoke the ball for the Dolphins. Let's quickly get you the defensive lineup, Joe, for the Lightning. Tiffany Adams at first, Genesis Polino at second, Miranda Diaz at short, Yedi Nieves at third, Adrelina Gell in right, Karen Rivera in center, Samantha Torres will be in left, Caitlin Vernon behind the plate, and Diamond Villegas on the mound.
As that pitch gets to the backstop, and Patricia Riches will take third base. And I have to give you credit for this technique, Mike, drawing out a diamond on your scorecard and easily able to follow the players out in the field, and that's something I forgot to do prior to the start of this game, as Riches is down over at third base, and this does not look good, as trainer Allison Ocasio will come out. We'll see exactly what happened, as we have a bit of a delay on our video, so we'll get a look at it in just a moment, but whatever it is, does not appear good.
Richards was thinking about trying to come home on that play and got forced back at third, dove in kind of awkwardly.
Yeah, so she's down on the field here for the Dolphins as she led off with a double on an 0-1 pitch, driving the ball deep into the outfield, but really appears to be shaken up, and
It's, of course, something you never want to see, but this does not look good as she hasn't moved since going down. Our video here at here's another look at it right now as it looks like she dove headfirst back into third base and may have made contact with the third baseman's knee on the way back into third base. So it appears to be a head injury, though we don't want to speculate any more than that.
So Rich is still down on the field here for the Dolphins.
And with the injury timeout, we'll step aside and take a break here. We'll come back if there's any update on Patricia Riches. And when the action resumes, of course, we will resume with the call for you. This is women's softball exclusively on CSI Sportsnet at csidolphins.com. Dolphins lead the Lightning by a score of 2-0 on a trio of first-inning base hits for the College of Staten Island. Patricia Riches with a leadoff double. Pinch runner Kristen Marr came around to score. Vanessa Joya and Jamie Holmes also doubled before Gabrielle De Leon walked. And Allison Marr closed the inning by grounding into a 6-4-3 double play for Lehman College. In the second inning, Tiffany Adams, Yadi Nieves, and Denise Gonzalez due up against Allison Marr, who yesterday pitched for the Dolphins in game number 2. Allowed a couple of runs, but those runs were not earned. The only 2 runs the Dolphins surrendered on the day yesterday against the Golden Eagles. Marr looks to continue her success here in the second inning against the Lightning after a long layoff.
Yeah, you know, Joe, it's been a real long layoff, and Marr pitched a strong first inning. The only one to hit the ball hard was Diamond Villegas, and she's basically hit the ball hard every time she's been up. But a good start for Marr. Let's see how she could do dealing with the long layoff.
So it will be Tiffany Adams facing Allison Marr. Marr has not stepped into the circle for at least the last 30 to 40 minutes. We'll see how that affects her here in the second inning. Both teams only took about 10 minutes to get warmed up after exiting the field earlier. So Marr's first pitch is swung on and missed by Tiffany Adams. Adams in game number 1 did drive in a run. The lone run for Lehman College. And she takes a called strike 2.
Yeah, Joe, and Marr trying to follow in the footsteps of Trapani in the first game, getting ahead of these Lehman hitters.
We saw quite a bit of Allison Marr late last season, and her work in the circle was impressive behind Jackie Cautella and Nicolette Trapani. Marr now stepping in to the second role in the Dolphins' rotation behind Trapani, who started the first game.
And no doubt, Joe, head coach Stella Porter using her in the NCAA championship tournament. So showing a lot of confidence in her last year and looking to build on it here in 2018.
The count 1-2 on Tiffany Adams.
Yeah, and Trapani came over. The right fielder Cortella came in, and the second baseman De Leon went over, but no one made a play on the ball. And now it's the Lightning that get an infield single on a pop fly for their first hit.
Denise Gonzalez, the batter, and she takes ball 1. Gonzalez made an appearance as a pinch hitter in game number 1, went 0 for 1. Perhaps the sun playing more of a role than we realize out here today. It is a sunny day as that swung on and missed, evening the count at 1-1, but the ball hit out to left field in the previous half inning that wasn't played by Torres. Perhaps the sun playing a role in that double as well. And right there on the infield, that pop-up. Torres will be the batter for Lehman College. Still a runner on first. 2 away here in the Lightning half of the second inning. And very quickly, we mentioned Allison Marr's impressive finish to last season. Wrapped up 2017 with a 1.21 ERA, a 9-2 record over 13 appearances. Pitched 9 complete games as well. And that pitch taken for ball 2. Over 69 in the third innings last year. Marr allowed only 45 hits and 17 runs. 12 of those earned. She walked 19 and struck out 62. Opponents hitting 248 plate appearances against her. Opponents hitting 181. Her ERA last season also the third best in the history of the College of Staten Island. Behind her 2 teammates.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joe, it's hard to believe, but all 3 top ERAs in CSI softball history in 2017.
That hit softly on the ground to first. A half swing by Torres, and Trapani scoops it up and goes over to first to cover for out number 3. An infield single assisted by the sun for the Lightning in the top half of the second, but nothing more. CSI leads 2-0 heading into the bottom half of inning number 2. More CUNYAC softball when we return here on CSI Sportsnet at Com. And we're back here from the CSI softball complex. Dolphins lead the Lightning by a score of 2-0 in this CUNYAC conference matchup. Due up for the Dolphins in their half of the second, Christina Severizo, Nicolette Trapani, and Juliana Cretella, 7, 8, and 9 in the Dolphins batting order, facing Diamond Villegas.
Yeah, Dolphins picking up 2 runs and 3 hits in their first go-round against Diamond Villegas. She wasn't helped by her defense. Let's see how the Dolphins do in inning number 2.
It has to be frustrating for her out there in the circle to see all the miscues behind her. First in the last game in the first inning, a pair of errors, and now in the first inning of game number 2, a misplay out in left field by Torres, allowing the Dolphins to play a chasing out of the strike zone. And it looks like Severizo may have done just that, and she's behind 1-2 now.
Yeah, first bat of the afternoon for Christina. She was the flex player in game number 1, 2 for 13 on the year with an RBI.
And the 1-2 pitch hit well out toward right field, but getting underneath it is Gill, who records the putout for out number 1. Ball hit out into the right center field gap initially, and then bobbled the ball before recovering and maintaining control of the ball. So it's Nicolette Trapani now, and she takes up and away for ball 1, but it's been a rough day in the field for Lehman College. Their pitching has been far better than the scoreboard would indicate, as they fell 11-1 in the first game, though. A lot of that due to excessive walks and being unable to find the strike zone.
And so impressive today here for the Dolphins. Put the ball in play, you never know what's going to happen.
Job that time by
Count out 2 balls and 1 strike.
And you said it, Joe, that's why these have
strikes to Trapani and pick up her second strikeout here in game number 2.
Juliana Cretella will be the batter for the Dolphins. Drew a pair of walks in game number 1. Also scored 2 runs and picked up a base hit in her only official at-bat. And now back to the top of the order for the Dolphins as Kristen Marr will step into the box for her first at-bat of the day.
Yeah, so Marr will step in for Patricia Riches. Riches hurt in the first inning earlier today. So Kristen gets her first at-bat.
And Marr takes low for ball 1. I think it's big here for the Lightning to get out of the elbow to add to the Dolphins' lead, as the Lightning will have a conference in the circle on the infield.
Yeah, so now it's Villegas getting herself in trouble, putting 2 Dolphins on base without the benefit of a hit, and now having to face the very dangerous Antoinette Galbo.
Well, if you're the Dolphins, Galbo is the woman you want at the plate in this situation. 2 base runners on and 2 outs. Galbo, as we mentioned before.
And you said it, Mike. Dolphins are doing a good job getting on base any way they can. Base on balls, hit by pitch.
1-0 the count on Galbo, and she hits one well over the outstretched glove of the first baseman Adams. A throw goes to first base, but no way that they're going to record a 9-3 putout on Galbo. And the Dolphins have the bases loaded. That ball hit too hard for the runner to scoop the ball right off the heel of the glove, then fails to scoop it up cleanly, throw to second, and Joya slides in safely. So another error committed, or I should say the first error of this game, but another error overall on the day committed by Lehman College. Plates a pair of Dolphins runs. CSI has now doubled their lead. It's 4-0.
Yeah, the Dolphins able to take advantage of a tough play in center field, that time by Karen Rivera, as Joya ends up going into second base. Galbo goes all the way to third, and now the Dolphins have doubled their lead to 4-0.
As Holmes hits one out into right field, and that will plate 2 more. So the Dolphins
some runs, and Rivera actually initially made a good play on that ball. She just couldn't come up with the catch. So taking opportunities again.
And another ball finds its way to the backstop, and there have been far too many unforced mistakes by the Lightning overall on the day. And they could very well have been in game number 1 were it not for the defensive miscues. Once again here in this game, defensive miscues behind Diamond Villegas, who has to be frustrated in the circle. And Bobby, you could probably speak to this. Even in the field, how frustrating is it to see mistakes made out there on plays that seem routine or at least should be made more often than not?
Yeah, Joe, I'm sure she's frustrated out there because she is pitching well. And I talked
Offensively, whether it's for the Dolphins or any of their opponents. And here today, the Lightning simply have not done that. You highlighted it in the pregame.
Yeah, and Joe, we talk about it in baseball and we talk about it in softball. If your pitcher won't allow base on balls and you make the plays in the field you're supposed to make, you put yourself in a great position to win almost every game.
Well, the Lightning have not put themselves in such a position here today, and they face a 6-run deficit early. I got a little bit behind there after the break in the action. The mound visit came with a 2-0 count, so that one ball 4 to Gabrielle De Leon, who stepped back into the box for her at bat following that extended conference at the mound. Allison Marr, the batter, now looking to help her own cause. She did. 1 ball and 1 strike to count on Allison Marr. That refers to that wristband that she and her teammates have been utilizing in the circle, and that pitch misses low for ball 2.
Yeah, and Joe, Mike, I think it's important to note Dolphins could have came out flat after that Rich's injury, but they came out and they've kept up the momentum and the energy, so it's a good response from them.
And the 2-1 pitch is in the inning. They now lead 6-0. Another defensive miscue cost the Lightning big. College of Staten Island 6, Lehman College nothing. Third inning coming up, and we return here on CSI Sportsnet at csidolphins.com. College simply not making the routine plays in the field that they've needed to make in order to keep these games close.
Yeah, and Joe, when you're playing the 5-time defending CUNYAC champions, you can't afford to allow any extra outs to the Dolphins or allow them to get on base without earning their way on. And, that time in the second inning, it was Villegas able to get a couple of quick outs, but, she opens the door by walking Quitella on a 3-1 pitch and then hitting Kristen Marr, and then the Dolphins just went from there and ended up with 4 runs after there were 2 outs and nobody on.
And on top of that, in the second inning, the Lightning recorded the first 2 outs. The bases were empty with 2 outs, and it turned into a 4-run inning. So it's really been remarkable how quickly things have broken down for Lehman College, as leading off here in the third inning for the Lightning is Genesis. And a double play in the same game right there. Dolphins just missed recording another 9-3 putout.
Yeah, and Quitella kind of double clutched in a glove on that play, Joe, or I think he would have had a real good chance to get Paulino at first. Instead, the Lightning with the leadoff runner on here in their half of the third.
And Angelina Gill is the batter. And Gill takes a called strike. In game number 1, Gill 0 for 2 at the plate.
Yeah, Joe. Lehman looks to answer back a little bit here. Maybe put a couple runs on the board.
Lehman has been starved for offense so far today. In game number 1, had only 3 hits. And that hit total was matched by the number of errors they've committed in the field. 3 hits and 3 errors, 1 run scored for the Lightning in game number 1, an 11-3 defeat at the hands of the Dolphins. Gill behind in the count 0-2. And she takes outside for ball 1.
Ready, the Dolphins looking for big years out of Trapani and Ma to help propel the Dolphins. And if Patricia Riches is missing for any period of time, they're really going to need good play from the circle.
And that one was out. Miranda Diaz, the batter for the Lightning. Diaz 0 for 1 in this game, 0 for 2 in game number 1 of today's doubleheader. And she hits one through the hole on the left side past the diving Galbo for a base hit. So a pair of base hits for the Lightning in the third inning. I think that's the first time they've recorded 2 hits in an inning today. And Lehman College now has 2 base runners for the one player that's gotten it done at the plate so far, Diamond Villegas.
You know, Joe, if you're the Lightning, you have to you've had a pretty good contact on Maher here in the third inning with your big hitter coming to the plate.
Yeah, Mike, I think this is the last person Maher wants to see able to plate in this situation with the runner on second.
Villegas ahead in the count, 1-0. Big opportunity here for Lehman College to make this a game again, as that's taken just off the outside corner. I think the Dolphins wanted that call. They don't get it. Big pitch upcoming. Villegas ahead in the count. 2-0. 2 runners on. 1 out. And she finds the hole on the left side for a base hit. Rounding third and attempting to score is Paulino. And she slides in with the first Lightning. Second run they've scored today. Credit an RBI single to Diamond Villegas. And the Dolphins' lead has been cut to 5. It is 6-1 in favor of CSI.
And Villegas hit that ball hard once again. Didn't get any lift on it. Fortunately for the Dolphins, drilled it into the hole between short and third. Ball got into left field, and Malak came in, but a throw to the plate not in time. Dolphins doing a good job preventing any of the base runners from advancing, but Lehman College on the board now, trailing by a score of 6-1.
Sorry, Bobby. That's a pair of singles through the left side, back-to-back for the Lightning, and they've done something now that they've really failed to do, and that's keep an inning going after they get a base runner on. Paulino got on to lead off the inning, and you mentioned it before, Bobby, how important it is to retire the leadoff batter. In this case, the Dolphins failed to do so, and Lehman College finally able to get on the scoreboard.
It is, and that was Villegas' probably softest hit of the day, but she found the hole and continues to be a bright spot for Lehman here.
Once again, Galbo playing in on the infield, and the runner going, slides into third base safely, nearly came off the bag. Galbo perhaps thought she did, but successfully swiping third base is Miranda Diaz. Runner did not advance over at first. Now it's runners on the corners for Lehman College. Still 1 out. Caitlin Vernon, the batter.
Yeah, and that's the first time today we've seen
It's the plate now. Aggressive on the base paths as well. The 1-1 pitch to Vernon is taken on the outside corner for a called strike. Count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dolphins playing in at both corners of.
It seemed like the umpire called that.
It looked like he motioned, acknowledging that the ball did make contact. Yeah. Adams able to find it. 2 more runs come in to score for Lehman College on the throw that gets by Jamie Holmes. Tiffany Adams takes second base. That's a 2 RBI single by cleanup hitter Tiffany Adams, and the Dolphins' lead has now been cut in half. It's 6-3.
Yeah, Lehman not necessarily tearing the cover off the ball here, but they're finding these holes, and all of a sudden it's a 6-3 ball game.
There was a massive hole in the middle of the diamond, and Tiffany Adams able to find it as that one's hit on the infield, looped up in the air, and making the play is Gabrielle De Leon for the second out. Yet Nieves retired on 1 pitch, and Denise Gonzalez will be the batter. And Gonzalez takes outside for ball 1. Struck out looking in the second. We saw the Dolphins bat around in the previous half inning. Lehman now only a base runner away from doing the same, and they will not get that base runner, and we'll have to settle for 3. 3 runs for the Lightning in this third inning on 5 base hits, all singles. No Dolphin errors in the field. After 2.5 innings of play, the College of Staten Island leads Lehman College 6-3. Bottom of the third when we come back here on CSI Sportsnet at csidolphins.com.
Look at this game. The Dolphins have not hit the ball really that well either and have really taken advantage of some poor fielding by Lehman to have the 6-3 lead.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. It's important for them to respond here. Sure, they're up 6-3, but you want to tack on some more and keep the pressure on, shift it back to Lehman.
Severizzo, Trapani, and Cretella due up, the same three that were due up in the previous inning, where the Dolphins ended up scoring 4 runs. Severizzo 0 for 1, lined out to right field in the second inning. In that second inning, Nicolette Trapani followed with a strikeout. There were 2 outs, no base runners for CSI. They turned that into a 4-run inning. A lot of help from Lehman College as well in the field. Here's the 2-0 to Severizzo, and it's in for a called strike. Camera's red.
You want to do it? I don't know how to,
Mike, you got play-by-play. Should be able to hear us.
So the count 3-1 now as the Dolphins here in the bottom half of the third inning try to answer the 3 lightning runs in their half of the third as that pitcher swung on and fouled back to the screen, and the count evens at 2-2. And 3-6-1 for the Lightning, 6-5-0 for the Dolphins. As Villegas winds and the pitch is swung on, and that's going to be bloop foul down the right field line, out of play, and the count holds at 3-2.
Yeah, Mike, we'll see if the Dolphins can continue to do what they've been doing the whole day. Get some base runners on, put some pressure on Lehman.
For a ball 4. So Villegas with good stuff, Bobby, but having trouble controlling the ball, walking a few batters, hitting a batter here early in the game, and really creating some of her own problems.
Yeah, Mike, she's been really good here today, so it's important for her not to fall back into walking and hitting by pitches and getting Dolphins some more opportunities to drive in some runs.
1 ball, no strikes. Dolphins leading by a score 6-3. The pitch is swung on and bunted back to the mound. Villegas plays it, gets it over to first base in time for the out. So the sacrifice is successful. 1-3 going to second base will be Severizzo, and that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, the right fielder, Juliana Cretella.
We apologize for our video feed going down. I just ran up there and fixed that issue, so we should be back with video as Juliana Cretella, the batter, with 1 away and a runner in scoring position, takes ball 1. Absolutely are. Normally this time in the year here at the CSI Softball Complex, we get some brutally cold weather and high winds. Usually it's the wind chill that makes it seem so cold here, but today a beautiful day for softball. About as good weather as we could ask for. Hopefully we can get more of the same early next week, but as we mentioned during the pregame, it's not looking good.
Yeah, weather has not been on our side.
And the 2-0 pitch taken down and in, and now Cretella very close to earning her 4th base on balls of the day. I had to check that number, but indeed it will be 4 walks if she takes ball 4 here. She'll get to look at least 1 3-0 pitch. See if she looks to swing the bat on anything good. That certainly isn't it, as that travels to the backstop, allowing Severizzo to advance to third base. Cretella is on with her 4th base on mound for the Lehman College Lightning.
Yeah, the Lightning having a conference, Joe, but there aren't too many conferences that can help the base on balls. And, you know, unfortunately for the Lightning, they've now allowed the Dolphins to get a scoring threat going after doing a great job coming back with 3 runs in their half of the third inning. They've allowed the Dolphins to put runners on first and third with 1 out without the benefit of a base hit.
We've seen Lehman confer all day long. Early in this game and in the last game, Villegas was able to throw strikes, and right there, they throw over to third base, checking on Severizzo, and allow Cretella to take second base. So I'm not sure if that falls under the same category as the other miscues, but definitely misplayed in that situation at the very least by the Lightning, as the Dolphins now have 2 in scoring position for Kristen Marr, and she's ahead in the count 2-0.
Yeah, the Lightning made a decision not to throw through on that play, Joe, and try to see if they could get Severicio leaning off of third base, but she didn't go very far from the bag, and that allowed Quintella to easily go in and get a stolen base here for the CSI Dolphins. And for Quintella, that's going to be her first stolen base of the year. Dolphins don't.
Difference in the circle for Lehman College. They've done a lot of talking during these two games of today's doubleheader, but they just haven't had answers for the inability to throw strikes on a consistent basis, and the Dolphins have taken full advantage. They haven't obliged them by chasing outside of the zone, have continued to make solid contact when they do swing the bat, and that's the reason why we saw the Dolphins put 11 up on the scoreboard in game number 1, already 6 up on the scoreboard through 2 innings plus here in game number 2.
Thanks, Joe.
We let you run with it. As it will be Antoinette Galbo coming up to bat now. Still an interesting discussion for another time. As Galbo will bat. 2 outs, 2 runs already home for the Dolphins here in the 3rd inning. They now lead 8-3. Galbo singled in the 2nd inning. And she lines one foul. We've seen Galbo make some good contact on foul balls the other way. Here in the 3rd inning for CSI, they do not record a base hit, but 2 runs come home after a pair of walks and I believe 2 wild pitches. Dolphins lead now 8-3 as we head into the 4th inning here on CSI Sportsnet, exclusively on CSIDolphins.com. In the top of the 3rd, answering with 2 of their own in the bottom half.
Ooh.
And that's a hit batter to open up the 4th inning, and taking first base will be Samantha Torres, so the leadoff batter on for Lehman College. Haven't said that much today, and the batter will be Genesis Paulino.
And, you know, Lehman got their leadoff batter on in the bottom half of the 3rd.
It would take a very perfect angle, a nice arc for the ball to wind up back here. The trajectory is just about impossible, but it's come close. I think an out was recorded on that. And the batter stepped out of the batter's box, so that is the first out of the inning. We'll have to get a look at that on replay in just a moment. I didn't see exactly what happened. We looked over. The foul ball traveled right over our heads. But we'll get clarity. Excuse me.
Yeah, you normally see that after maybe a ball 1, ball 2, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen that after getting ahead in the count 0-1.
Oh, we're about to. As there's ball 4. So, I thought it was ball 3, but Villegas took off over to first base and now will get called back into the box. They're trying to put her on and takes off out of the batter's box 1 pitch early. There's ball 4. So Villegas on via the intent. Allison Marr.
And Lehman has been doing a much better job, Joe, hitting the base.
Job against Marr in this game than they did against Trapani in game number 1.
Yeah, Trapani with 9 strikeouts in that first game.
A dominant performance in the circle for Nicolette Trapani as that one's hit. Now even on Nieves at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lightning need base runners trailing by 4 the second out.
Dolphins doing a good job keeping them off the base path so far.
And that's hit on the ground over to first. Backhanded nicely by Trapani, who steps on the bag. And we're back here from the CSI Softball Complex. Dolphins lead